Hi everyone, Anthony here. Welcome to Starlight Activation. I'm not sure where this video is going to end up going. Um, as part of my video diary here, I've made a very strong promise to myself that I would always be extremely authentic in putting down onto video every time any issues arise, no matter how good or how bad. And so what I've been feeling for a few days, and my videos are put out premiered. So sometimes I'll film 2 or 3 videos together, but then they're premiered 1 week apart. So it's been more than a week since I've even recorded my last video in here, and the way they show up in your premiere is the way that I'm recording them. That's the order in which I'm recording them. And so what kind of prompted this is that you guys know about my aquascaping channel, and in the aquascaping channel I have the Rainbow series, which is a brand new series of tanks, and it's just 1 month old. And I've seen a lot of plant death in my Rainbow series, and absolutely off the wall water parameters that I've not seen before in my other tanks. And it's just left me floundering on which direction to go with that series. And it's a series of 5 tanks that I actually did a whole build on in the studio here. And it's gotten to the point where I just came in from a trip today. And normally I would never do a video on a trip when I come in from a trip, because I'm usually way too tired. But I came in and I saw more death of other plants in my tank. And it really just, I don't know, just kind of started me, like bumming me out, like, oh my God, what's going on? And I always specifically will ask for guidance and protection over my terrariums and my aquariums while I'm away. And you guys know that when I did a couple of videos about not the dark night of the soul, but a crisis of faith, the crisis of faith, where I literally cut out some of my guides because I didn't feel like they were, suiting me. And I think this is like a continuation of that, because I've literally prayed specifically for one of my guides, to come forward and help me in this task. Because I've said this before on these videos, that aquascaping, I felt spiritually inclined to start my channel with no knowledge of the hobby other than very basic water, plants, shrimp, fish in an aquarium, but not how to get it to pull itself off to make an ecosystem and to where everything thrives in there. I felt guided to do that, and I've always been spiritually led into every build that I've done, and that's unwavering. Well, when I came in from my trip today and I saw the state that my Rainbow series tanks were in, it was very distressing for me. I tried to watch a movie to de-stress, and that didn't help, so I ended up taking a nap. And when I went to take the nap at first, I was like, I really wish I gotta find out a way to get these tanks to turn around. To where I woke up an hour and a half later, and I did not expect to be going through my mind what went through my mind. I literally the only way it could come to me, the first thing I thought of when I thought about creating the title for this video is it divine intervention, or is it evil? And I know that's a really harsh contrast between the two, but I kind of believe that's what's happening. Now, I can't remember if I've spoken about this on this channel. I know I have whenever I was interviewed by Jasmine and Ethereal Pathways, that we talk about as soon as I was adopted into the family that raised me as a baby, that every night I didn't have a bedroom of my own. I had to be in my parents' bedroom for a while. I don't remember how long it was, but I know it was the entire time I had a crib. I know it was in their room, because I can remember this. And every time I would be put to bed, which would be early, and the door would be shut into their bedroom, I would see a very, very dark, scary figure and a ghost in the room every single night. And I knew as an infant, I could process that the darkness was bad and that the ghost wasn't even any better. So I don't know why I had those impressions, but it went further than that. As I got just a little bit older, I felt like I was bitten at night repeatedly, and I could feel the teeth marks going into my neck. And there's just odd things that happened to me as a child that I just cannot explain. And I've told you guys before on the video about how as a newborn I was abandoned, and I knew I was abandoned. I knew what that felt like, and I was forced into a crib when I was just born and not able to move around. I was held into place by being put on one of those like really old, sunken, like heavy goose down pillows or something like that, with like a gingham sort of pattern. It didn't even have a pillowcase. The mattress, in fact, I was laying on had no sheet on it. It was plastic. And I remember this to this day. And I remember being laying there, and my mom had told me years later that they kept me laying for so long that I had no hair on the back of my head. I mean, the hair that I had wore off, and I was just left there. And so I developed a very strong connection to being abandoned. I mean, that has plagued me my entire life. And it got me thinking, okay, I've been listening to these channeled messages for 6 months now, and I've been guided to think that, you know, I'm a Sirian Starseed, I'm a Lightworker, I have a mission. I was guided to start my aquascaping channel. I was guided to start this channel, and to share my light and to help humanity, which I feel like I do that really well as a flight attendant, because I try to make everyone, you know, I try to alleviate the stress of flying and make people feel comfortable, make them laugh, engage with them, conversation, you know, like during the flight, during service. And as a matter of fact, even 2 of my flights on this trip, I had passengers specifically talk to me about what a joy it was to have me on the flight, because I'm not like other flight attendants. And I know that. I know that I go above and beyond when it comes to that, because I know what it's like to sit in that seat. And I know what it's like when you have someone who doesn't pay any attention to you. And I'm not saying that against all flight attendants. I just know I've witnessed it. And I try to go above and beyond all that. And so, because I love my job. And so I had that feeling as I was coming home that, oh wow, it was a great trip. Even though I had challenges because the holidays and delays, but I made through it, and I had some really good coworkers. And so when I woke up feeling like, was I still under this darkness? And when I talk about the darkness, I'm talking about that first memory as an infant in my parents' bedroom, that every night that presence was there, and it moved around. It would go from one side of the room to the other side of the room. So like if my parents had like a little 3/4 bath in the master bedroom, and they would leave the light on. If the light was on in the bathroom, which shined light into the bedroom, the darkness would be in the opposite corner, away from, further on one side of the room. But if that light wasn't on, it would be on the other. It would be wherever it was darkest, that entity was there in the darkness. But you could still see it. I could still make out the form. I could still see it floating. It didn't have legs, but it was a shape. And it started me questioning, I'm listening to these channeled messages, and they're, because it's a collective reading, it sometimes is very difficult to figure out what message is for you and what message does not resonate for you. And sometimes I've been thinking that, am I projecting resonance through the reading? Should I really be resonating with the fact that, you know, I have gifts that are coming in, I have all these things that have been promised coming in, I have a relationship that's coming in, when I've been plagued with visions that did not come true? So, as a matter of fact, you guys know I did a very special episode just about Robert. Robert was, I was told, was the soul coming forward that was supposed to be my kingdom spouse. We were supposed to know each other. This person was going to seek me out. This person was going to live near me. I was even led to believe that I needed to put myself out there on a dating app so that I could be found easier. And I did. And when I put myself out there on a dating app, there was a guy within 2 miles that popped up on my grid that viewed my profile and is the exact image of my visions. And one night, when I was waking up very early in the morning for a trip, the name Robert was whispered in my ear. And I jumped up and I said, oh my God, his name is Robert, because I had just had a vision about him that night. And I had many visions where I knew everything about our connection. I saw where I was living. I saw hosting a party with his friends. I saw our energy. He actually kissed me a couple of times in these visions. And when the kiss came through, I read everything. I knew everything about us. And it was magnificent. It was the best you could ever imagine in a relationship. And I'm sitting there thinking now, okay, so when I initially made contact with him 6 weeks later, I waited 6 weeks. I think it was 6 weeks, maybe longer, but I know for sure it was 6 weeks when I waited to make contact. And I asked him a question online, and I read his energy and his answer, and I knew he could not be my kingdom spouse, because I knew that he was only after one thing, and he wanted a sexual conquest. And he would not be looking for a relationship whatsoever. And then I knew my vision was wrong. And I have told you guys before that Archangel Metatron is the one who's been sending me visions. He gave me the vision about my aura, about my light, about my visions of when I see Archangel Michael up on his mount or throne. When I asked him to cut the cords that bind me with someone else, I see all these things because Metatron brings them right into my vision. And I see it. And I started questioning, okay, is this Metatron that's doing this? Because every time I've asked Metatron for clarification, I never get any information back. Never. And when I asked about Robert, you guys know that when I've had 2 videos where we talked about my frustration with why was I sent visions about this guy, that when I read his energy, I knew he could not be a kingdom spouse, and no one's never ever answered my questions about that. Never. And it got me thinking, okay, is there a possibility, or is this too much of a leap, that the dark entity that surrounded my birth, especially when I was brought into the family I had, because I never saw these 2, whatever they were, forms, when I was being in the care of, well, I'm not even going to say care of, when I was placed with my grandmother, because my mother that gave me up, my birth mother gave me to her mother. And she's the one who put me in a crib where I couldn't move around. And because she was too old to take care of an infant, and she didn't want to be taking care of an infant. And that's how I knew I was unwanted. I knew I was an unwanted baby then, because the mother passed me off, the grandmother didn't want me. And then it took them 5 years to get the adoption to go through because of the struggle between my adopted parents and my birth mother. She wanted money out of them. And So I never had this vision of this darkness until I was placed in my parents' home. And so I'm wondering if there's something in my family's, I was told there was a generational curse that kept that family where they were. They were all just either migrant farm workers or farmers that were very, very poor. I mean, not even enough money to feed themselves, basically, and they lost everything. They lost their farm and everything on my dad's side. And I'm just wondering if this curse attached itself to me when I came into the family, and have I always had this on me? Because every relationship I've ever been in has failed. I may gain some success, but it would always be taken away from me. Anytime I would get success, I would always lose it and have to build my life back again. I've built my life from the ground up several times, and it's usually always relating to a traumatic breakup, and me wanting to avoid being abandoned again. So this abandonment issue I've struggled with my entire life. And up until the husband I'm married to now, I had a vision on our very first date that told me I was to marry him. And we all know how that's happened, how that ended up. He was a breadcrumber. He wanted a green card. He wooed me during the dating period, but the person who showed up for the marriage was someone else. And we couldn't live together. It was horrible. It drained all my energy. It just made, it was just pure sadness. I never knew what to do. It was like being in a war zone and with someone who wouldn't even communicate with you. So I'm waking up and I'm trying to figure out, okay, has this darkness plagued me my entire life? Is this darkness sending me or making me feel like in these general collective readings that I'm wanting to believe that these things are happening to me, but are they in fact happening to me, or are they an illusion? Because you guys know I have argued with my guides, the ones that I feel like are my guides, again and again and again, looking for resolution, looking for answers. And usually they have to come in the form of a channeled message later on. Well, I told them tonight I'm done with that. I asked to have all these doubts of, am I this one that's this light worker, that's a Sirian Starseed, that's on a mission to help humanity, help elevate, share my light. I'm supposed to get all these gifts that have been hidden from me, are supposed to be restored. They're supposed to be balanced back into the universe with me. There's supposed to be a possible new job offer coming through, stage work. I mean, the list goes on and on and on, and a kingdom spouse. So the list goes on and on and on and on about all these blessings that are coming through. Now, here's where I was led to believe that I can manifest myself. So I have been trying to manifest for 8 health reasons that plague generally flight attendants, to have those eradicated out of my body so that I could do my job better, and so that I could do my work more, I could do my work better. And for a little bit, 3 of them did go away during this last 6 months, but came back. And as I was processing these emotions, I kept saying to myself, okay, so I'm supposed to have cleared this karmic cycle for this family I'm in, this curse, and then also my own karmic cycle of relationships. Okay, if I've done that, and now I'm just waiting for my timeline to match up with a kingdom spouse that's down there, that doesn't stop the universe from being able to bless me with the health I've asked for months, but that has not happened. It doesn't stop the universe from sending messages directly to me that I have asked for. It doesn't stop the universe from answering questions that I have and being accountable to the numerous false visions that I've had. And the visions where I'm really getting I really am not stepping off of my stance on this. I mean, the Robert visions were many, many, many. And then being told to marry my current husband and how that turned out, I have questioned that over and over and over again. Why was I told to do it? And then why did it turn out like that? Unless it was for a dark purpose. Unless I am being manipulated still somehow by a dark presence that follows me. And so instead of talking to the divine and my guides, I spoke directly to Archangel Michael. And I asked specifically to cut the binds if there's any known or unknown. But I do this weekly. And if something is still controlling me, then I believe that I'm wrong about something. I'm either wrong about my faith and I'm being controlled for whatever purpose by some type of a dark cloud, whether it's some type of karmic or whatever else. But I have said I wanted to release into the universe my dependence on listening to any channeled message. That if I'm really who I'm supposed to be, I should receive my messages directly. And I said, not through song lyrics any longer, because they'll play a song lyric in my head over and over and over, which doesn't always make sense. It doesn't tell me anything directly. And that I want the messages directly sent to me. I want to be able to understand my gifts, my purpose, what my mission really is. And if they can't give it to me directly, then I am going to lose my faith over this. Because I feel as if I'm being manipulated on a dark level. And even though I asked for Archangel Michael's assistance to cut those cords, I'm not sure if it's working. I'm not 100%. Now, and I was not angry. I did not raise my voice to anyone that was listening to me tonight. And I have no knowledge if anyone did listen to me tonight. I did not feel the presence. I did not do a prayer before I did this video and ask for their guidance in doing this video, because this could potentially be my last video. That is my intent whenever I wanted to get this down on video, because as I've told you guys before, once I do a video about it, it leaves my memory. It's eradicated, and that's what I've asked for. I've asked to have all this taken outside and given back to the universe for it not to plague me, and for me to be able to, if possible, just to live my life and whatever time I have left as happy as possible. And what's really kind of disturbing right now is that this channel alone has all these videos on it with 0 hits, 0 views. And I find it discouraging to have been encouraged countlessly to start this channel, and then the channel goes nowhere. Same thing with my aquascaping channel. My most recent videos on there are getting 0 views. Contrary to what it was happening earlier. And it's just making me feel like, was I really guided to start this, or was it a diversion from something bigger? And I know this is really not going to resonate with a lot of people, especially if you are well on your spiritual path. You're going to be like, okay, well here it sounds like you're having a crisis of faith. No, this is not a crisis of faith, because we did that. We went through that. This is something completely different, to where I feel like I'm going back to my infant stage. And why was there a dark entity and a ghost-like figure always in the room when I was in my parents' bedroom? Why then that I transitioned into my own bedroom, I felt like I was getting bitten at night and would wake up after these bizarre, horrifying dreams of me either defecating in bed or wetting my bed and having to clean it up in the pitch black. having people peer into my windows, because I was on the front porch. My bedroom faced the front porch, and people would always be, you know, looking in or trying to get in. And it doesn't seem like a coincidence to me that then as a teen I would be bullied relentlessly and suicide was my constant thought, to where I was a young adult, and then it intensified more and you get ridiculed because you're different even in the workplace, which is just as bad as being, you know, in school, and where suicide is your constant. And I tried to think back on the last time that I knew I was truly touched by the divine, and that was in my late 20s, when I had my slain in the spirit, my last slain in the spirit experience, where I saw my light and I got my answer to my question to God. And so I know my spirituality is where I need it to be. It always has been my constant. But I'm wondering if I'm under some type of a dark cloud, or is there something at play that I don't know about? The general readings are just general enough to where you're not, you can draw correlations between the reading and what you think is you, but in the realm of things, it got to be too large of a mountain for me to overlook, that I was supposed to be getting downloads directly. And I'm not getting my downloads directly. I was supposed to be getting information about my gifts directly through dreams. I'm not getting them. My dreams are gibberish. My dreams are movie clips, and they don't resonate with me whatsoever, and that's been very, very frustrating. I ask for clarity about visions, and I get no information whatsoever. I don't believe, if I was truly in the divine's keeping, in the grand scheme of things, that I would have to be begging for answers like this. I think the answers would be coming provided to me, not to where I have to listen to a channeled message, which takes up a lot of time, and then they're vague enough to where you can't draw the correlation to you. So to me, I just said, I'm done. I'm done with that. I want that to stop. I don't want to have to listen to any more. As a matter of fact, that's one of the things I wanted to give up. I want to give up my dependence on listening to channeled messages. If you can't deal directly with me, then it's going to cause me further doubt into the validity of being someone who's here on a mission. And I can just go back to being Anthony, that just does the very best he can day by day, and I'm okay with that. So I don't want to make this seem so doom and gloom, because when I was done with my meditation, I wasn't sad. Matter of fact, I was holding my white quartz, and normally when I'm in a prayer meditation, when I hold my white quartz and I hold it like this with both hands at my heart, it gets really hot. So I touch it to my lips and it's hot. I touch it to my lips and it's just barely lukewarm. I knew something was off immediately. And I also have been having a really, really hard time meditating. Usually when I try to meditate, I just go to sleep. And I know that I've been encouraged through general messages to meditate, to listen to special Hertz music, which I do that, and that does make me feel better. I know that my last grounding work that I did out in the rain with the rainbow, that was beautiful, and I felt grounded. I do feel grounded. I feel grounded right now. But there's so much other stuff that doesn't feel right, that it's causing doubt into the validity of everything I'm being told. So that's why I want to kind of like back off. I want to back off. I don't want to have to listen to any more messages. And if that means no more of these videos, then that's fine. I actually told during my prayer meditation, that I'm okay with deleting the entire channel. Because, you know, like I've said, once I do a video, it's done, it's gone, it's out of my mind. I'm hoping the same thing happens with this. I'm hoping once I do this video, I don't have to give this another second thought, and I can just go on with my normal life. And I can just accept the fact that I have a crappy husband that wanted a green card and never had any reason to provide love or support or nourishment to our relationship. The one sticking point is that the channelers, all of them, stress balance and harmony in the universe. And one of the last issues I wanted to speak about is the fact that in 2010 I ended a relationship where eventually out of that ending, this individual stole my identity, my car, robbed my home, and then eventually I lost my home because of the stress of having my identity stolen and coming home every day to an empty house that had everything robbed out of it. So this individual that I had lived with for 8 years took everything from me physically they could take from me. And even things that I had had from my prior life that I cherished, those things were taken. And this individual has been allowed to live their best life until this very day. That's 15 years ago. And I told whoever was listening tonight in my prayer meditation that I don't see that as harmony and balance in the universe. I don't see where whatever karmic cycle I was under means that I should still be punished for something that happened 15 years ago and not have balance now for something like that. So the logical part of my brain, which I know I really can't rely on because we're not supposed to, everything is supposed to be divine timing. I'm not questioning divine timing. I'm questioning the fact that if I'm supposed to be receiving this bounty of things coming in, why hasn't at least the health portion came into it? Why am I still waiting 15 years later for a resolution to what one ex did to me, let alone the one I'm currently married to? So a lot of things to me are very upside down right now. And I don't know why. I asked this many, many times. Why did when I went to sleep, I was just upset about my tanks, and I wake up and I'm thinking about my childhood trauma, and that's what's been clouding me, and I've been under this false illusion of being this Sirian Starseed Lightworker that's here on a mission. And have I just been under this delusion because of this darkness that's always been around me? Is this darkness still around me? So I did ask Archangel Michael to cut the cords once again. It's one of the rare times that I did not see my light go out into the universe and seek out any future negative energy and transmute that. So I know that there's something different. I'm not sure what that looks like yet. So if there's not another video, I hope this video finds someone and resonates with someone out there that may be struggling like I'm struggling with my faith and not wanting to depend on a tailored, vague, channeled message to the collective. I've always said that I listen more to sign-specific collectives and then also to my pick-a-cards, because pick-a-cards is something you pick yourself, and then that reading has pretty much always been succinct with what I feel like is going on. And so as of today, I'm not going to be listening to, I don't know how long I'm going to hang out. If there's a video after this one, you'll know that I'll confess in that video if I listen to a channeled message. But as of right now, I don't want to. I want to go cold turkey, and I want to see if anyone comes forward with any information for me, because I've asked for it to be sent directly. And if I don't get any information, that's probably just going to confirm that whatever darkness is trying to mess with me is still able to infiltrate me, and my guard has not been up high enough to protect me from that. So I hope I haven't bored anyone. I hope at least maybe you've got some insight out of this, and whether I see you or not on the next video, I'm still wishing you nothing but light and love, and I hope you guys have a great day.